This is major breaking news. The National Guard is preparing for a major radiological disaster inside the United States on U.S. soil. The National Guard is getting prepared for that right now, and they just made a major step in getting ready for that, and you should be getting ready too. All right, this is one of multiple warning signs that the National Guard has flashed that they are getting ready for a major disaster inside the US, and this confirms it. They just had a major purchase order of equipment, and you need to be looking into this as well. You need to be getting stocked up as well. And I want you to listen to something really quick too that kind of just sets the stage for all this, because they're warning us that something big is going to happen in 2024, and we have mainstream CBS News reporters coming out and warning of this as well. All right, I want you to listen to this really quick, and then we will hit this National Guard news as well, because this is all related, and we are going to see big things happen in 2024. So I want you to listen to this.
Well, mine's a little dark. I just feel a lot of concern that 2024 may be the year of a black swan event. This is a national security event with high impact that's very hard to predict. There are a number of concerns that I have that factor into that. Not only this sort of enduring heightened threat level that we're facing, the wars in Israel, also Ukraine, and we're so divided in this country in ways that we haven't seen before. And I think that just creates fertile ground for our adversaries like North Korea, China, and Iran. And that's what concerns me most.
All right, so that was on CBS News just the other day. This was Catherine Herridge, and she has deep connections to intelligence agencies and inside the government. And she is warning on CBS News Face the Nation, one of their biggest shows. She is saying that a black swan event, a quote, black swan event is coming. And if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you've probably heard me say that they have been warning of this all year, okay? Klaus Schwab was at the World Government Summit earlier. That's exactly what it's called, the World Government Summit. It was over in the Middle East. I think it was in the UAE, I believe. And it was just earlier this year, and he was warning all the world leaders there that there's going to be a black swan event. He's saying, get prepared for the black swan right now. That's what Klaus Schwab was warning at the World Government Summit. They're telling us what they're doing. It's called World Government Summit. They're trying to establish a new world government in the aftermath of a major crisis and disaster. And if you put that together with what the National Guard is doing, this is very serious, and we need to be getting prepared. You need to be getting stocked up, and you need to be prepared to potentially shelter in place for months. All right, I was reading the procedures and protocol of what they would do in an event like this, and essentially you could be under a shelter in place order for months, not allowed to leave your home, and being forced to stay inside for a few months if something like this happens. All right, and the National Guard is getting ready for this. So you can see here, StemRad inks $4.5 million contract to provide protective equipment for the National Guard. It says StemRad, a leader in personal radiation protection solutions, announced today that it has been awarded $4.5 million by the U.S. General Services Administration on behalf of the National Guard Bureau to provide radiation protection equipment for soldiers and airmen. You can see here that the $4.5 million contract, which was funded by the National Guard and Reserve Equipment account, is for a total of 630 belts and on-site training at the Consequence Management Support Center in Lexington, Kentucky. When requested, the National Guard supports civil authorities in mitigating domestic radiological incidents, whether they are intentional acts such as a dirty bomb or accidental that could include a nuclear reactor meltdown. All right, so they just ordered 630 radiation belts and radiation protective equipment for the National Guard, and they are doing on-site training and radioactive disaster training in Lexington, Kentucky right now. All right, that's what the National Guard just ordered this. And these are radiation belts that protect your vital organs, and specifically your bone marrow and your hips and your legs and the center of your body. Specifically, they're like big belts, like big wrestling belts or something, big back brace belts, okay, that have protective layers to protect you from gamma ray radiation. And they're saying that that's the most vulnerable parts of your body, and it also includes masks as well, right? So this is very serious, and this is the National Guard. They only operate domestically inside the US. And just a few months ago, the National Guard as well ran an entire drill in a Iowa stadium preparing for a radiological biological disaster. They had the hazmat suits out and everything in a major, it was a football stadium in Iowa. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head. I'll link that video down below. I made a whole video on that. And they are getting ready for something big. That was just a couple months ago. And now they're ordering 600 plus radiation belts and radiation protective equipment in case of a disaster. If something like this were to happen, protocol is to be under a shelter in place order for potentially up to months until they are able to declare this area safe, okay? And within the first few weeks, most of the gamma ray radiation would clear out, right? Most of the most dangerous and powerful radiation would be cleared and be decayed in this area, right? But the shelter in place order could go on for prolonged periods of time if there's a ongoing nuclear reactor meltdown, all right? Look at Fukushima when the tsunami hit it. Look at how long it took for them to clean it up, and they are honestly still kind of dealing with the situation. And we could have a nuclear reactor meltdown if there's a cyber attack on a power plant, okay? If they're able to get control. And I've made multiple videos of how CISA has been warning that our critical infrastructure is being targeted with these cyber attacks, and they're using day one exploits, and specifically things like logic controllers, internal logic controllers inside of their systems are being exploited right now, right? And they have been exploited. That's how they got control of all the water systems. You remember that a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. Dozens of different water systems in the US were under a major cyber attack and had their systems infiltrated, right? And it was one or two of them actually had disruptions from this as well to their water, right? And they could also be adding things to the water. They're adding chemicals to the water to, quote, purify it, right? And to make it clean, right? That's a whole nother issue. Adding fluoride, adding these toxic chemicals to the water. But somebody could get into these systems and add even more, right? This actually happened in Oldsmar, Florida a few years ago. Somebody was able to get into the systems and tried to add lye, right? Which could be blinding, could burn your skin, burn your eyes if it gets in your eyes, right? So this stuff is happening right now, and if they're able to get into a nuclear reactor, a power plant, and take it over and override the systems, then we could see even an explosion from one of these reactors, all right? It could be like a dirty bomb going off just from having a cyber attack on one of these reactors. And this is on top of the border being wide open as well, and there could be material being brought into the country covertly and unaccounted for, all right? These things could be happening right now on top of these cells being brought in as well that could potentially do these jobs, all right? This is a very serious situation, and the National Guard is getting ready for it. They're doing drills, they're training in Kentucky, and now they just ordered 600 belts, okay? The US senators, they ordered sat phones just a few months ago. And then about a year ago now, The US also ordered a ton of radiation sickness medicine. I made a whole video on that. That was probably last year now, going on late last year, where the US ordered a ton of radiation sickness medicine for their national stockpiles. All right, so something big is happening. 2024 is going to be a very big and dramatic year, and they're going to pull out all the cards for it. And you need to be getting prepared. You need to be getting stocked up. You need to have nascent iodine. All right, these are drops that you can take to absorb and fill your thyroid so it doesn't absorb any toxic chemicals released in an explosion like this. You can also get potassium iodide as well, right? And you also need to be stocking up on as much food as possible and growing as much food as possible. I'm already ripping out a giant garden. All right, I already got a bunch of seeds planted in trays. All right, I'm going to give you guys an update here in a couple days, and we're going to get a bunch of stuff planted in the ground as well, right? It's go time. It's time to start producing. We're going to get even more chickens. We're going to get meat birds. We're going to get turkeys, all this stuff. It's time to start producing and go to the next level, because they are getting us ready for something big. And the aftermath of this is always what worries me the most. Is what are they going to do after? Are they going to declare martial law? Are there going to be lockdowns? Are there going to be shelter in place orders? Is the beast system going to be unleashed after a major event like this? Because they're telling us the black swan is coming, and that event is going to be society altering, right? Society altering. They want to use this big event to change society and change the way everything happens. Because if there is a major cyber attack on a power plant or multiple power plants, this will be the excuse to clamp down on the internet and say that we need internet IDs, we need digital IDs, and this is the only way to make sure and track who can get access to our internet. And it'll also be segmented. All right, it's already pretty much segmented right now, but it'll be completely severed. All right, we will not be connected to China, Russia, even Europe. There will be very localized internet, and that's how they will control it. And they'll say that's how we're going to know who is doing these attacks, and that's how they can shut it down. And they're going to reset the whole system so you can only get back online with these digital IDs and this digital wallet. They already have the digital ID wallet. It already passed in the European Union just a month ago, just a couple weeks ago, a month ago now. I made a whole video on it, and it's already rolling out in multiple countries where you have to use it for everything. You have to use it for your health records. You have to use it. They're even saying to rent a bike for $5 for the day. You have to use it. You have to use it for everything, for your bank account, for all your transactions. All right, they're setting up this beast system, but they know a lot of people are going to say no. We are saying no. We do not consent. I do not consent to this. I do not want this. I do not want any of this. I do not want a radiological disaster, and I don't want the aftermath of it as well. And they have to have a way to force it on people. All right, so make sure you're getting prepared. Make sure you're building these systems yourself to opt out. All right, we need to be opting out as much as possible and being as sustainable as possible. Build your victory garden. All right, get this stuff going. That's how people survived the Great Depression and World War II. They had a victory garden. They had chickens, and they were able to bake bread, make their own food, and make the cut. All right, so thank you guys so much. Please hit it up for me down there. I hope you guys have big blessings for your life and your family. I hope you're getting stocked up and prepared and getting your homestead ready as well. All right, this is going to be critical, growing your own food in the future. All right, because the preps are only going to last so long. You're going to need to supplement. You're going to need to fish. You're going to need to hunt. You're going to need to be able to forage. You're going to need to be able to grow your own food, have farm animals, trade, barter. All these skills are going to be critical in the future. All right, they're creating their dystopia. We need to create our own system that is actually a natural functioning human system that people want and has worked for thousands and thousands of years. That's what we need to recreate while they try to create their dystopia, so there's an option to opt out. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.